up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are talking Sixers and Eagles, breaking down top three Eagles with the most to prove, talking more Sixers off-season targets. He is Ryan Reese. Give him a shout-out at Philly Sports PSA. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. Ready to talk some more Sixers, get into some of those needing to prove a little something this year for the Eagles. So, good show.
Basically talking about the entire defense.
Yeah.
We'll see. Also joining us, he is Rob Lange. Give him a shout-out on X at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
I'm just trying to figure out why I'm a little pixelated today, but it's, just one of those days. I'm hanging out. I'm excited to be here. It's a big week for me, Dives. It's a big week. All right. Big week. We got this show, and PSD will be premiering at the end of the week. So, I'm excited, man. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
Awesome, man. We'll plug that later on. As always, guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment your thoughts on your, Eagles takes, Sixers takes. Let's jump right into this thing because we have a lot to cover tonight. Let's see who gets the number one pick. Again, top three players, or maybe not even a player, to prove for the Eagles. Ryan, of course, you cheat as usual.
I cheat.
Number one pick.
It was nonsense.
Listen, I was like, we need 9 players. He's like, well, yeah, I guess. I was like, I'm sure you have some.
You see what Dives did here, Rye? You see what Dives did here? He made himself get the last pick so he could say, I had the last pick. I know his game.
All right, so we're not going to overlap. Ryan, you get the number one pick. This will be snake style. That means I'll have the third and fourth picks. And we'll go through our essentially top 9 Eagles that need to show us something, need to improve in 2024. Ryan, you have the first overall selection.
Yeah, this one honestly was a tough one. I think there's a triad of players that have quite a bit to prove, but I'll go with the oldest one out of the group, or at least the one that's been in the NFL the most, and that is linebacker Nakobe Dean from Georgia. And listen, he's got to prove he can stay on the field. He's got to prove that he can take this linebacker group over. I mean, let's be honest, outside of Devin White, there's not a lot of veteran play there, and anybody that I would trust to put me out if I was on fire. So and let's be honest, Devin White is certainly not coming off of his best year either. So honestly, if he can stay on the field, Nakobe Dean can prove to us why he was once considered a first round a linebacker. He has the world in front of him, and he could grab that linebacking core and make it his and run with it. And if he doesn't, I don't believe he might be on the team after this year. I think this is his last shot. So too much to prove.
All right, Nakobe Dean going number one. What about you, Rob?
It's a great pick, and I think it's going to be a lot of guys who are young, but now they're veterans on this list today. And I'm going right to the middle of that line with Jordan Davis. This is it, man. Look, he's shown up and looks to be in a lot better shape than what we've seen him as. But now you got to go put it out on the field. People forget that for a portion last year, he was playing real well. And we joke about it, but it was like the last big play he made was when he ran Josh Allen down on the sideline and then laid there for like 20 seconds because he couldn't get up because he was too out. It was just, it looked sad. Like he could not pick himself up. If he's got to be in shape this year, and he's got to be able to stop the run, because for the Eagles to have a chance to let some of these younger defensive backs learn on the fly like they plan on doing, you've got to be able to make a team one-dimensional, and that starts with Jordan Davis on those running downs, clogging up that hole next to Jalen Carter and really making an impact game in and game out. And it can't just be the first 6 weeks. It's got to be for 17 games. So that's what I'm looking for.
Man, back-to-back very strong picks. Well done, guys. I'm going to jump right in. And this could be debatable, but for me, I'm right there with you, Rob. It starts on the defensive line. I'm a traditionalist. I'm always going to go in the trenches. And for me, it's Josh Sweat. I need to see more from Josh Sweat. He played way more snaps in 2023 than he did in 2022. 56% to 71% in 2023, but the production just took a major dip. He had 5.5 sacks through 9 games last year. Didn't manage another until week 18. That included 19 quarterback hits through 10 games and just 4 in the last 7 games, man. So right there with you, Rob, man. If I expect some growing pains with the back 7 with our new look secondary. And if we want to put them in position to succeed, it starts up front. And that includes Josh Sweat being more productive in 2024. So I'm going to make that selection real quick. Now I'm kind of weighing between a couple guys here because we will be voting. I guess the fans will be voting on who had the better guys here for most to prove. So
yeah, there it is. God,
I have 3 guys that I am circling, but you know me, Ryan. I always tend to think outside of the box.
Well, something.
Yeah.
With the sleeves there. God, I know exactly who you're taking.
I kind of think I do too.
Yeah, go ahead and just say it. We all know it. Yeah, there it is.
For me, it's Nick Sirianni. Just the way the Eagles crumbled last year, the way the offense looked incredibly predictable and stale, the way the coaching staff never adjusted, continued to have zero answers for the blitz, the way the Eagles just consistently abandoned the run, the way DeAndre Swift would have 2-3 touches in an entire half. I get that continuity is important, but if it was up to me, man, he would have been gone this offseason. Nick Sirianni, man, he has a lot to prove, in my opinion. What about you, Rob? Where are you going next?
You can go a lot of different areas here, but I'm going to go offensively, and I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. I mean, to me, is that who you were going, Rye? Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yep. and here's why. It's not saying that, he isn't good at playing the quarterback position, but where you were 2 years ago compared to where you were during the second half of last season, and your, for lack of a better word, fear of staying in the pocket, we got to make sure you're who we saw 2 years ago. And that's this year. You've got to prove it. You can't come back with another year like last year and think that this fan base and this city is just going to blindly trust you, because they're not. Like, hey, I love his demeanor in press conferences, and I love, the things he says, but none of that matters if you're not producing on the field. You could say, I got to pay the rent's due and all that shit. If you're not producing on the field, it's going to get old quick, and people are going to start coming down on him. I love the kid. I do believe he's a good quarterback, and a very good quarterback at that. But you got to show me this year. This cannot be another one of these BS years where you're running out of the pocket before giving a play an opportunity to set itself up. So to me, I think Jalen Hurts, this is a big prove it year now. You got the money and you struggled. So show us that, you're going to be able to do it even with the money in your pocket.
It's amazing how just 6 weeks can completely flip-flop an entire season. And week 11, this guy was the MVP in the NFL, and most people, I think, remember Jalen Hurts at the end of the season, not some of the highs he did have for the first 2/3 of the season. Ryan, who's your number 2?
I'm gonna stay on the offensive side of the ball here, and I'm gonna go with Cam Jurgens.
Good pick.
Ooh, good pick.
He's got big shoes to fill. He's going back to his more natural position, and everybody just assumes, this will be seamless. Cam will just go right in. We'll figure out right guard. Well, listen, we hope that that's the case, because if he doesn't, then we have two holes we got to figure out on the offensive line. So Cam needs to come in and prove. And again, he doesn't have to be Jason Kelce. That's not what we need. We just need you to be adequate. This line is already really good, loaded. Mailata, Lane Johnson on the bookends. You have Landon Dickerson right next to you. We need you to continue that, and we need to only worry about the one spot on the offensive line right now. So he's got to prove that he can be the man at the center.
That's a really good one. That was the guy I was debating between Nick Sirianni and Cam Jurgens. Struggled a little bit in pass protection. It's going to be really interesting. He also took Jason Kelce's locker this offseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if he can kind of fill those shoes. What about you? Oh, I know you go back to back.
That's right. I'm gonna again stay on the offensive side of the ball.
Wow.
And I am actually going to say Dallas Goedert.
Mm-hmm. It's a great pick. It's a tremendous pick.
The man needs to stay healthy. He is an absolute weapon. He is an absolute beast. And how many times are we going, oh, well, this is the year Dallas is going to get 1,000 and really put himself in there with the top of the tight ends in this league? Well, he never does, because he's usually hurt, and he usually has that game or two where he kind of disappears. He needs to prove that he's a top tight end, because talent-wise, ability-wise, he sure should be. So you need to stay healthy, and you need to stay involved in games. So I don't know what that means. I don't know whether that means, getting to him early. I don't know whether it means fighting later in games to get yourself a little bit more open, but you need to step up your game and prove why we drafted you as the heir apparent to Zach Ertz. Step up. Be a top tight end.
It also involves utilizing the middle of the field. And the Eagles, we talked about that in previous shows, but the Eagles targeted the middle of the field 11% in 2023. That's down from 17% in 2022. Goddard was on the field a lot when he was healthy, but they never threw his way ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Rob, you're up.
Look, I'm going back to the defensive side of the ball, but I'm going with the guy where it's not like they need to step up from last year. They just need to prove what we paid him for in this offseason. And that's Bryce Huff. All right, because you gave this guy, top of the line pass rusher money. And you said we're going to probably double your snaps from where you were last year. And you want to talk about something to prove. You need to prove that you can do this with more snaps and not get gassed out on the field and not get eaten up by offensive tackles. The fact of the matter is you were paid here and Hassan Reddick was shipped out. So that to me is even more. They got rid of Hassan Reddick. So guess what, Bryce Huff? I get it. It's year one, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't come out firing on all cylinders, people are going to be pissed about this contract. And it's going to be hard for anyone to get over.
More so, I'm also looking to see how he is against the run, because he's a very good pass rusher, but he's not good against the run.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at like some of the other guys on this defensive line, like Nolan Smith, things like that, like I'm definitely like more so worried about the run defense just falling off a cliff again. That second half of the season. That's something that's been on my mind. Let's get some comments real quick for my third one. Mr. Sandman says, with a running back like Saquon, a backup quarterback can thrive. I have a feeling he's not a big fan of Jalen Hurts. I have a feeling that Jurgens will surprise us with his performance.
I'm hoping.
We'll see, man. I mean, you got to remember that Kelce was one of the biggest Jurgens fans in the draft. He brought him to Philly, and that athleticism. There's a lot of reason to be hopeful when it comes to Jurgens, because him and Kelce are so similar in some respects. We used to get Zach Ertz get on Zach Ertz for falling to the ground and avoiding contact. Goddard needs to get down. And then I hope Nolan Smith beats Huff for the starting position, and he remains a situational pass rusher. Yeah.
I don't. Why
I mean, once again, I understand talking about Nolan Smith, but you paid this guy a lot of money to do one of the most important things that they need to get back to, and that's sacking the quarterback. Yep. So, I would love for Nolan Smith to play well, but I would love for all four of our edge rushers to play well, right? That's when the Eagles are at their best, when they can rotate and not lose a step. So let's hope that that's what happens.
All right, I'm on the clock here. My last pick. You guys crushed it, man. Well done.
I love how Dives just happens to take a comment break so he can give himself a little more time. come up with some winning formula of how to win this thing.
My number 3 pick. Also going to go a little outside of the box. They signed him last summer after he was suspended for violating the NFL's gambling policy. Give me Isaiah Rodgers here for this one. He's kind of been the darling of OTAs the last week. He's been looking sharp as that first team corner while James Bradbury's away and will likely be cut. He had a pick on Jalen Hurts last week. And you look at kind of Maddox's injury history. You look at James Bradbury probably being cut. You look at Keely Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell likely being outside guys. Like, I think, Isaiah Rodgers is a really good fit for this defense. I think he fits well in Fangio's zone-heavy defense. And I like that he's, going to give this secondary depth. He's going to give this secondary experience. You've got a lot of young corners on the roster. I think if you were to put a gun to my head and say, where is he going to be on this defense? Probably slot until Cooper DeJean takes snaps from him going forward. But give me Isaiah Rodgers. As this Eagles secondary was among the bottom of the NFL last year, I like the depth all of a sudden. And honestly, that didn't include Isaiah Rodgers when we did our initial 53-man roster projection. So I'm excited to see what this guy's got. So that I'll make that pick. So quick recap. Team Ryan, Nakobe Dean, Cam Jurgens, Dallas Goedert. Team Rob is Jordan Davis, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Huff, and my team, Josh Sweat, Nick Sirianni, Isaiah Rodgers. Ryan, what do you think about your squad?
I like it. I'm not gonna lie though. Second round hurt. I was definitely looking for Jalen, and would have actually taken Sirianni had he been there for me, because I do believe that they have quite a bit to prove. But I like the way my board fell. I was kind of surprised. I was the offensive. I guess the one who went offense the most, but I also got the biggest slam dunk in the Kobe Dean for first pick. So I'm doing all right. I'm happy.
I'm happy you got Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
Of all people. What about you, Rob? Any thoughts on your squad?
Yeah. Listen, I for drafting off the cuff, damn it, I'm very proud of myself. I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. This was an off the cuff type of draft for me tonight. It's been a crazy night. I do like the other squads. I do like Ryan's squad. I think he's got some good players there. But look, I went for a couple of bigger names, and I think the guys that are really going to matter. I think Jordan Davis, if he can be good, then this defense becomes really good. And obviously Jalen Hurts, the team runs through Jalen Hurts. And if you watch the last 6 weeks of that season, even early in the season, he was still trying to get out of the pocket too much. And let's face it, if there's anybody to prove something in this town, it's going to be the starting quarterback to try and get back to the Super Bowl. So I'm happy with the way this all worked out for me.
Yeah, Rob, I think your team is going to do really well for voting. Very solid. Same for you, Ryan. I don't know how my team's going to do. I look at my team as that third team behind you guys. Josh Sweat, Sirianni, Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, I think all these guys are in literally prove it years. Like Josh Sweat is on his last year. Nick Sirianni. Who knows how this is going to turn out in 2024? But in my opinion, he's on the hot seat. And then Isaiah Rodgers could be, a guy to really break out in 2024. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for watching that. Mr. Sandman says, I'm surprised the Gene is beating on Avante for the starting slot position. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah. I think Avante, again, I loved Avante, but he's another one. And who knows? Maybe it's because they live together. But they always, him and Dallas Goedert, always seem to be getting hurt every dang season. And, unfortunately, I think Avante's injuries were a little bit more severe and have slowed him.
Yeah.
Considerably.
And they've also been throwing out Avante at safety throughout OTAs, something to watch. But I know,
which is a classic move of, hey, Avante, do you want to make this roster? Maybe we should try you out of safety.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to try and get the Gene on the field as much as possible. And I've been saying it forever. It'll start at the slot. All right. At least when the games start. All right. Let's roll on to some Sixers basketball. Talking more off-season targets for the Philadelphia 76ers. Rob, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go first. Our pre-show texts about this were amazing. Loved every minute of them. But so there, I got a few things up my sleeve. But tonight I'm gonna go more role guys, more, possible starters. But we'll see. And the first guy I'm going with here today is a guy that's been, I feel like, rumored to the Sixers for the last 2 years, and that's Alex Caruso. I'm going to go with Alex Caruso here from Chicago. If it's time to make a move, if it's time to get him out of there, his offensive numbers are not going to jump off the board as far as points per game and stuff like that. But look at the 3-point percentage. All right, shooting 40.8%. He's really improved that part of his game, but his defensive side is where I think he could really help next to Tyrese Maxey. Like, obviously, shooting is going to help as well, but you instantly become a pretty damn good defensive team if Alex Caruso is on your squad. I think he's that much of a difference maker on that side of the ball. I kind of like his swagger. I like the swagger of Caruso. When he first came, shot on the scene in LA, I was like, what the hell is happening? But, he's really turned himself into a solid NBA player who I think if the Sixers can pry him loose to Chicago, I think it's a no-brainer to get him over here.
So I guess the big question is, and this has been kind of the story on social media, is would you do the Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso trade if you were Daryl Morey? Because Caruso's kind of been a throw-in. That LaVine contract is god-awful. Next to it's Tobias Harris level awful. I would not do that. What would you do?
LaVine gives you a lot more than Tobias, though, right? I mean, geez.
Gives you a lot more offensively. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Man. Let's put it, this is such a political way. I should be a politician with some of these answers. I would certainly consider it. I can't say that I'm good. I'm 100. Oh, there he is. Yep, Mister, I'm supposed to be in bed because I stayed home from school sick today. Is down here next to me. Unbelievable. Okay. Walk over there. I'll talk to you in a minute. I got to finish my point. All right. The people need to hear from me. They love me. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would consider it. I'm not for or against it right now, but I don't know, man. I probably would lean yes, actually. As crazy, I know the contract's bad, but the offense there is I don't know. I probably would lean yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do it too. Honestly, I think he gives you an exciting offensive pump into of life into this offense. And yeah, I like Caruso. Again, he's kind of that guy that can hit 35-40% from three, but also give you a little defense. And he's also kind of one of those high intensity guys that, as Rob said, he likes his vibe. And well, yeah, when he does something, he's the type of cat that you're just like, oh, damn, he's hype. So I like the attitude on both of them. And listen, again, if you're going to be giving up picks, you could do far worse. So
yeah, we talked about Alex Caruso. Like, what makes him such a good defender? He's a great point of attack defender. He's a guy that you can put out there and slow down pick and rolls. Fight through screens and get deflections. I love Alex Caruso as a plan of like you get your free agent, whether that's like Paul George or somebody, and then you probably move your first round pick and get Alex Caruso. I don't necessarily like it with Zach LaVine. That's just
look, I would probably say if you got Paul George, I would take that. I would take Paul George and Caruso, probably, or any of the other names you've heard prior to Zach LaVine. Like I would even, take a Jimmy Butler before I would take a Zach LaVine right now, because even though you will only see Jimmy for 25 games in the regular season, you're getting a dog in the playoffs. So, but regardless, I see your point there. Like, I'm just saying, if you're not going to get any of these other guys and you're stuck, right? You're not going to get a bit, it's got to be something you consider if you're Daryl Morey.
Yep. All right. Let's roll on. I'm going to go to my guy. We're going to talk a little Donovan Mitchell here. Donovan Mitchell is a dude that averaged over 26 points, a career high 6.1 assists last season. He's looking to get a full max salary on his next contract. 5 All-Star games. He was an All-NBA second team last year. And you look at the Cavs already having Darius Garland on a max deal, Jarrett Allen earning $20 million annually, Evan Mobley, a modern-day big, is going to be getting he's now extension eligible this summer, so he's going to be getting paid in the very near future. And we all saw the Knicks key in on and take out Tyrese Maxey in that Game 6. They limited him to 6 of 18 from the floor for just 17 points. Joel Embiid got his, but man, the Sixers had no one else that could step up and get a bucket when they needed. We also see Luka and Kyrie Irving work together and just completely own the 2024 NBA playoffs. Those two have been electric. And, having a legit shot creator next to Tyrese Maxey, I think would be a pretty good plan for Daryl Morey. The good news, I think you've seen some of that success from Tyrese Maxey when he shared the court with Kyle Lowry in Embiid's absence. That suggests that he could probably, function really well alongside a secondary ball handler. The bad news, Mitchell kind of give the Sixers more undersized backcourt. You look at Maxey, he's 6'2". You look at Donovan Mitchell, he's under 6'4". So not exactly ideal there defensively, especially when you look at guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are, your long-term final boss in the Eastern Conference. But I think, the other bad news, the Sixers don't really have a lot to offer Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's clearly in win now mode. They're going to want pieces to continue to, advance in the playoffs. And all the Sixers can offer right now are draft picks and cap room. So long story short, it's not my plan A. I'd prefer to go to the free agency route, and I would prefer to use that money on a wing. But I think Mitchell would put the Sixers offense in a different stratosphere. He is absolutely that dude that can get a bucket with Maxey on the bench or with Maxey or Embiid on the bench. And that's really when the Sixers team went to die, was when Embiid was on the bench. The defense just took out Maxey, and they had no answer. But Mitchell could be the answer to that. Any thoughts on Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy. It's the first thought that comes in my head is my former podcast co-host from years ago, one Jessica Town, now Taylor, You've recently seen her on Babes on Broad and stuff. There was bigger Donovan Mitchell hater.
Really?
And Jess, and a lot of it circled around all the beef as rookies with Ben Simmons. But man,
Okay.
I would love to just see this kid. I would love to just see her reaction to a Donovan Mitchell coming to this team. What are you doing? Go to bed. Anyway, so go ahead. I'm muting me. You guys actually carry this on like professionals while I deal with the peanut gallery over here.
This is Sam. It says both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are younger than Embiid and are already way better. It feels like the window to a championship is closed. That's I don't fault anybody for thinking that. I don't like.
Well, I mean, listen, I definitely don't either. I disagree. I think I personally like getting somebody like Donovan Mitchell because he's young. He can grow with the Tyrese Maxey. And eventually, how much do we have left of Embiid, obviously? But, it would be nice to kind of have that third star here so that way when Embiid's time is up, you have Maxey and this other person that can kind of take it to the next, couple of years thereafter post Embiid. So I like Mitchell. I think him and Tyrese would be so fun to watch, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. They probably don't have the most appealing offer, but they do have a lot of assets that they could offer them. And perhaps you need a third team to kind of get involved and, et cetera, et cetera. But listen, I think Daryl is, very creative, let's just say, when it comes to trades. So if there's something to be done, I think, he can do it.
That's a really good segue for my next one. I'm going to roll into this one. One of my favorite scenarios for the Sixers is this dude, Cade Cunningham. We've heard so much talk about Morey star hunting for guys like Paul George and Jimmy Butler and LeBron James. But like Ryan said, one of my preferred routes here is using our assets to find an ascending player to grow with not one Joel Embiid, but one Tyrese Maxey. And the guy I'm talking about, at least 1A would be a guy in Utah. We already covered him on the show a few weeks ago, but we're talking tonight about another perfect fit or very good fit, and that is 22-year-old point guard Cade Cunningham, man. Just a guy that has everything you're looking for in a point guard. He excels at attacking the rim. He's excellent at finding teammates through and around defenders. 6'6". He can bully smaller defenders at will. His time in Detroit has not gone as well as his college days, and could a change of scenery be in the cards for Cunningham and the Pistons? You look at other top picks, draft picks around the NBA. You look at the Magic. You look at Banchero. You look at them kind of challenging the Eastern Conference playoffs last season. You look at Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves. Edwards is now, one of the young faces of the NBA. It's not been the case for Cunningham and the Pistons. And let's talk about Cunningham as a player. The good news is he's an advanced passer. He's excellent at finding cutters, but there's a lot of bad news. He's got some injury issues. He's got 3 straight lower body injuries the last 3 years. He's more of a volume scorer than an efficient one. He needs a lot of shots to get his 30 points. And his inefficiency, like advanced stats, hates this guy. He's a guy that drives a ton to the basket, and he's a guy that struggles to drive left, and he doesn't have elite explosiveness, and that leads to his shot getting blocked a lot. But on the other end of that, Cunningham has been doubled his entire career there in Detroit. They've had nobody. And they never provided Cade Cunningham with spacing. They were the 6th worst team in 3-point percentage last year. And he also struggled with turnovers and taking care of the ball. But like some of the guys we already talked about on this show here, I think it'd be a much better fit in Philadelphia with Embiid and Maxey. I think if you reduce the tremendous offensive burden he had in Detroit, I think Cunningham would easily develop into a better playmaker and secondary scorer. And he won't have to be that number one guy. And I think Cade Cunningham, I would absolutely roll the dice. If we're throwing away assets and we're going all in, I like the plan of giving Maxey a running mate for the future.
Yeah, no, I agree on that one. I think, when we were talking about targets and, you named the two guys, I was like, well, dang, those are the guys I want. Because, the more and more I think about it is, I think we should just almost act like we're happy that we still have Embiid. We're happy the time that we get with him. We're happy with the time that we have left. Tyrese Maxey is absolutely a star. And I think it would be helpful to build with Tyrese and also utilizing Joel. And I think the two you just named, Donovan and Cunningham, I think are perfect. These guys are going to be able to score. These guys are number one guys, and they're not going to be asked to be number one guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure the weight of just that alone, and the fact that you're now getting the second or the third defender rather than the first, like those are all mean better numbers, more scoring. Like I just don't see why you wouldn't think about doing that, because that's what I would do with our assets.
Yeah. Listen, I am totally fine. I love the idea of Cade Cunningham because I like the idea of young, established players. I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine using the assets. If you're going to get young guys who are already seen as good players in this league, who can come in and complement Tyrese Maxey and whatever you have of Joel Embiid, totally in on that. I have a feeling that it's going to get out there that I just want the old guys. It's not that I just want the old guys. I just want establishment. Okay. I don't want a guy that we've never seen do anything good in the NBA. And then we have to say, well, just give him a few years, because the window right now is not that. So you need somebody that you think, like Dive said, Cunningham could come in and fill an absolute need, fit in very well with this team. The injury history's there, but the kid can play. The kid can flat out play. So, I mean, that would be a tremendous move if Morey could pull that one off.
I think all signs point to Cunningham not being a number one guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an Iguodala. I'm not comparing them to by any means.
Right.
But
similar situation. Drafted to be the number one guy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
you're a great player, but you're just not the guy.
It's kind of right. It's kind of like what we talked about last week when Ryan wasn't here. That who can be the Sixers' Aaron Gordon? Because that's what Aaron Gordon was. He was drafted to be a number one guy, totally failed, but went to Denver and fit into a role. And look what happened. They win the trophy. They win the O'Brien Trophy last year. So that the Sixers need that guy. So look around the league. There's plenty of guys who were drafted to be the number one, and it didn't work out. You just need the guy with the right mindset to say, okay, no big deal. That didn't work out. Let me go fit a role with this Philadelphia 76ers team. And Cunningham could be that type of kid.
Yeah. And the shooting has been inconsistent. Last year, he did shoot really well, but the years before that, not so well. But he is a very good free throw shooter, and he's only 22 years old. So that you would hope translates to him being a better shooter moving forward. All right. Rob, finish this off, man. Who's your last guy?
I don't even remember anymore. I said like 37 guys in the deck. No, it's this is a role player who I think I want on the Sixers for more than any other reason, so that he can't kill the Sixers whenever he plays them, because he seems to shoot 97% whenever he plays the Philadelphia 76ers, and that's Caleb Martin. I think a guy like Caleb Martin can play a really nice role off the bench for this team. 3-point percentage isn't super high, but 34.9 isn't bad. And he can get hot. He can get really hot. But I like his, the dynamics he has. I like his defense actually a little bit. And when we talk about getting some basketball players to come off the bench and be able to provide the 76ers with a spark, especially when Joel Embiid's out or Tyrese Maxey's out, I think Caleb Martin is a guy that can absolutely fit that role. And I think he's a guy that they need to take a look at because, it's one of those types of positions, right? Where, it's not going to cost you an exuberant amount of money. And it would fill an absolute need for you on this roster.
I'm really curious what his next contract is going to look like.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that Swiss Army knife. He could be a really solid 3-4 for the Sixers next to Joel Embiid. Really great fit.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps it up. Shorter show than we've had over the last several months.
Yeah, man.
That's a good thing. But anyway, let's throw it around the horn. Final thoughts, plugs. Lead us off, Rob. Time yours.
All right. Final thoughts. I think the one big name guys that we talked a lot about, I'm going to bring up next week. I think that's the name I'm throwing out there next week. I think it's time, but we may want to have a whole show just discuss. Why are you still here? I don't understand what's happening. 5 times you've said goodnight to me and you haven't gone to bed. You don't need to tell me. You need to wait. I'm plugging. I have to plug. You have no idea what that means. That's all right. Anyway, so I'll be bringing that up. But on top of that, find me at Philly_Mendes. But this week, Wednesday, I am recording. Friday, you will get the first ever episode of PSD, Philadelphia Sports Disorder. We've been working hard behind the scenes, but as I said to Dibes the other day, trial by fire here. We're going to be working out the kinks through the first little bit, but I would ask that you guys tune in. It's going to be a quick hitting show. We're going to cover 2 to 3 topics a show, covering the Phillies, the Sixers, the Eagles. It's just going to be me ranting and raving, telling you how I feel, telling you how we should be looking at it as fan base, because not only am I your podcast host on this show, I am your therapist, and I am giving you the correct information that you should take forward to be able to live your everyday lives in peace and harmony. So make sure you tune in. I don't know when it's going to drop yet Friday. I don't know if we've worked that time out. Did we, Dives? Do you know that?
No, I'm off work for the next 3 weeks, so just
okay. So it's a pre-recorded show. It is not live at this point. We'll see if the feedback comes in and people love it. We'll see what we can do. Maybe change it up as the time goes. Can you stop touching the microphone for the love of God? And I can promise you, when I'm recording this show, this won't be happening because they won't be here. They won't be here when I record that show. So this will not happen. And by the way, even with it being pre-recorded, I think, talking with Big Al, talking with Dibes, the purpose of this show is to do it all in one take. I'm not going to stop if I screw up. I'm going to keep rolling because I think this show needs to be authentic, and that's how you make it an authentic podcast. So make sure you're tuning in here at Edge of Philly Sports. I'm pumped for this, and that's it.
All right. Be on the lookout for PSD coming out towards the later end of the week. Nothing better than a good Rob rant, man. It is as good as it gets. What about you, Ryan? Final thoughts, plugs?
Yeah, listen, obviously we just named 9 people on the Eagles that kind of have a lot to prove. And, I'm curious to see how all that plays out. I mean, I think training camp will show the direction to which many of these are going to be taking for the regular season. So, and as far as Sixers, listen, I think we've named about 78 different targets right now at this point. I'm ready for the off season to start. I'm ready for Daryl to do his thing, man. Whether it be the Paul George route, the LeBron route, the Donovan Mitchell route, I'm excited to see what his plans are for this team. And as far as plugs, earlier today, every Monday, 6 o'clock, Football Smack Talk show. Eric and I just talking our top 5 Eagles on the offensive side, position by position. Obviously, this show every 9 o'clock every Monday. And then tomorrow, what I think is the best Eagles show out there, and that's Birds of the Round Table. Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. Please make sure that you're checking it out. Like it, follow it, share it. Tell all your friends. Have their friends tell other 3 friends, and then keep doing this. And then we'll take over the world. So
awesome, man. All right, real quick, before I do some plugs, I threw out our poll, so go vote for who has the best squad of most approved Eagles. Right now, Rob is in the lead.
I'm more upset that I'm tied with you.
So go check that out. I'll probably throw it on the POB.
And I haven't even voted yet. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Luckily, I have like 8.
I was going to say, right, you should go vote right now so you're not tied with Dibes.
I should. We give me like a minute and then we can pull that graphic back up.
Ryan, right now you have 21% and I have 11%. So
woo!
I'm in last. So that's kind of as we expected this to roll. Mr. Sandman says Sixers couldn't even sell tickets for the playoffs. More is on the clock. You better make a huge splash. This is his one chance, man. It's one chance. But anyway, really busy over the last week or so. I am now up to 23 NBA draft scouting reports, I believe it was. All those are on the channel. I've got 4 more coming this week. Tomorrow morning, I'll be joining Trending in the AM, talking Sixers, more Sixers offseason and Eagles. So join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. And then tomorrow night for Birds of the Round Table at 8 o'clock. Rob, you'll like this one. We are creating rosters of the best football, movie, and TV characters.
I saw that. That's outstanding. That's outstanding.
And I have a whole ranking thing. I've done so much prep on this. I've been watching old football movies. I can't wait. So we're going to have a like this with our Eagles segment. We're going to do a wheel spinner, snake draft style, and fill roster. And you guys are going to vote for who has the best football, movie, TV squad, period. So be sure to tune in for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. One last time, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. He is Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. Make sure you check out his new show, PSD, Philly Sports Disorder. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. We'll catch you on the next one. Oh, I forgot to plug. We will be getting into NFL draft content really soon. Me and Ryan have been talking back and forth about getting, college football and 2025 NFL draft.
Are they doing a second draft for this season? There's another draft. There's another NFL draft for this upcoming season already.
We're getting crazy. We're getting crazy. We're starting. I mean, Dodge has already started. I'm only just dipping my toe in this early, but I'm ready to dip in the shallow ends. Let's get nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. And this will all lead up to live streaming EA Sports college football. Which comes
I'm
out.
in for that. I bought it. I did buy the package, Rye. I bought the package.
Is that not the smartest thing in the world to do?
Had to do it. It's just I had to get paid. And once I got paid, I bought the package.
There you go.
Now I can't wait.
Let's go.
I'm like super blurry all of a sudden. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next week, Monday at 9 o'clock. He is Ryan. He is Rob. I am Dobbs. Stay awesome, everyone.